everyone, how we doing?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome to episode 1, I guess, of... Oh god, we didn't come up with a name.
Uh, s-
SketchyCast.
SketchyCast, yeah. I guess we're stuck with that now.
This is called, this is planning and it's all good. Definitely not winging it.
Yeah, definitely not winging it. Definitely just like really well thought out.
Yeah.
We mentioned it to you all in the Discord server. We said, "Hey, we're gonna we're gonna do a podcast." We definitely weren't just fishing for ideas because we didn't want to prepare
We're
ourselves.
just like, podcast, thumbs up, yeah?
Yeah, good. You like
it? Okay, alright, we'll be back. So,
we'll be back after a few messages.
this is always something that Ryan and I have wanted to do. Because just we talk about stuff and we're like, whatever, it's the internet era. Everybody has a podcast, so let's just record it.
Yeah.
And maybe it'll help us examine ourselves and just keep kind of sailing the ship of creativity and trying to just figure stuff out. We're still trying to solve stuff like everybody. So
Yeah, I think that we definitely, at least Carlos and I, we feel that a lot of what Sketchy Monsters accomplishes as a community and as just the base of what we do with the prompts and everything is we're trying to encourage artists to just create. And the medium, although we're artists, the medium is not really the biggest
focus of what
Yeah.
we're trying to do. It's more like trying to figure out what creativity means to you personally and
also the motivations behind it.
how to because with the internet era it gets really tough, like to kind of get yourself out from under the thumb of social media and the pressures that are inherent with being a creator. It's
Yeah.
hard to remember that you want to create for you, and that's how you'll grow, I think, the healthiest.
Do you think that for yourself? Do you think before you start a painting, do you find I have a kind of mixed relationship with social media. I kind of feel like social media is really strong and really bad at the same time because there's inspiration,
Right.
but then there's also influencers.
Yeah. It's it's just kind of a microcosm of like what humans will do with anything. Like it can be the best of the best, but it can also be very kind of poisonous and unhealthy. And if it's not regulated in a lot of ways, and what's right for one person may not be right for another person. Some people can work the system really well, and that they can function off that. Other people get burnt out at different rates, and the tough part is there's no true answer for everybody. It's being able to take a step back and see what the moving parts are, so that you can find a system that works for you, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For me, like definitely was very big on the likes of my photos. And I was careful to not, attribute likes to personal self-worth, stuff like that, which is obviously, even with not just art, but people posting pictures of themselves in general, like that's just what social media is, that sort of game.
Yeah. And it's kind of shallow in that sense a lot of times because when you're in person, I feel like you can get and somebody reacts to you. I don't know what to say about this actually, but like I just like somebody clicking a button is a very hard like yes no pass fail kind
Right.
of
There's no room
mindset.
for gray area.
Yeah, there's no gradient there. And
Yeah.
it
And
doesn't give you a lot of information on what you can improve on if you're putting up your art out there or something like that.
and it can kind of sway your own path in a way. Like I would post a picture and people would like one thing more than another. I'd be like, oh, I'll do more things like that. And you kind of lose yourself a little bit in that sort of playing to the audience idea. And it's not to say that's necessarily bad. There's positives to that. Feedback is good, critiques are good, but you just have to balance it. And that's always easy to say and hard to practice. But yeah.
Yeah. Before you start a painting, do you have like a prep for like your mindset?
Yeah, so this is kind of speaks to both things. I used to just try to sit down, draw something so I could post it right away. And I used to try to post something every day. And then I kind of realized I was just doing what I thought other people were doing, what almost like what the meta of Instagram art community was. Everybody drew either pretty girls or like some like fan art or characters or whatever. But once I started like just sketching for myself, and I was like doing warm up sketches that I wouldn't post anywhere and being okay with those,
Yeah.
it sort of got me in the rhythm of like, okay, it's just me and the art piece. You know, I don't want to worry about whether people will like it or not.
Yeah, that's true.
And that it can get very, it can get very muddy. Just that sort of relationship with, because you make art because you want people to like it. In the end, for one way or another, you usually.
It's a sharing experience.
Yeah, you usually
it's
want to
not
share.
it's not necessarily like a self-approval thing.
Right.
It can be for people, and I think that can be unhealthy. But I think that there's definitely a line of there's definitely like some sort of, I mean, that's why we're creating a community.
Right.
And it's just like or that's why the Sketchy Monsters community exists. It's just
Sharing's a big role, in art, and you know, it's animation, music, storytelling. It's all, if you did it in a bubble, in a vacuum, you know, you could, but
yeah.
that's not the point, I think.
Yeah. I feel like the creating for yourself kind of mindset. So for myself, I run another website and YouTube channel called Blip Sounds. And okay, I got my plug in. I can go. Yeah.
Air horn sounds in the background.
Yeah. Just
Blip sounds.
blip.
.com.
But yeah, for me, like, and you and I have been talking a lot about this, but the idea of sort of separating any sort of external pressures or influences on your art other than for yourself, because I feel like when you draw as a kid, it's very impressionable. It can be very easy to be impressioned by your parents or your peers to like peer pressure is huge, and like if you maybe art is lame and you don't want to draw, or maybe maybe even they just don't like your art and you're like, oh, okay, well.
Yeah, definitely. Those little key moments as a kid, like all it takes is one person to be like, "This is really cool, man," and then you just do it again and again. And sometimes that's the only reason people become art kids, as opposed to other people who just weren't at the right place at the right time. It's very subjective. But yeah, I guess that's a different topic in terms of like, you know, why do people become artists or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that has a whole bunch of little chapters. But yeah, as far as like remembering to sit down and draw for yourself and like be able to remember that it should be fun and for you, and not just drawing, you know, creating anything. Like you have a business where you make sounds and music, but creating for yourself just fulfills a different need in your day to day.
Exactly.
Like, your brain just registers it as a different.
Yeah, and I think like if you're doing art serious or art or anything creative seriously enough to where you're trying to make money off of it, like even that, or even just that alone is like, oh, that's a lot of pressure to like.
It changes your entire mindset. That's literally it. Like I still kind of throw mini tantrums when I'm doing freelance stuff and I have to draw things that I don't want to draw. Like, there's a part of me that's just like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to draw cartoons or whatever. But it's not reality, you know. So. Do
you think that there's a this is something I just thought about, but like the little mini tantrum thing. Do you think that it's like a because I went through that too a lot, and I think that like it's something I'm kind of going through now on like a in like a business sense, I would say.
Sure.
I think do you think it's like maybe it's like a contentment kind of thing with like your creations, I guess? Because I'm wondering, like, I feel like you would probably you'd probably be more okay with drawing those other things if maybe
like them?
No, if I felt okay with like if I got enough like creation time for myself, I guess.
Sure. Okay. So like, yeah, that usually is it in a way. Like, I always feel limited with time, and then the fact that I have to use some of my time to do something I don't like to do or like to draw.
Yeah.
Like that becomes part of the annoyance. But I think a lot of it too is like a simpler idea of like, I know the things that I like, and if I have to draw something that I don't like, I'm not going to enjoy it. If I have to draw something for like a job, but it's something that I like, I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think
Do you
it's
think
being
that
able
event?
to choose it.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
You get,
Do you think so? Then but then there comes the part where it's like, okay, the thing that you're enjoying to do for yourself is now a job.
right. Yeah, and I think that eventually wears on you, probably a little bit
Yeah.
slower than. But I think what's common with a lot of artists, and it's just been true for me, like I don't like being told what to do in a lot of ways, down to the specific. I like being pushed in a direction and being left to figure out how to do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like, don't tell me what to do. Tell me what you need, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's true. If
That's
they
the
give you
very-
like that's also just generally frustrating when doing something for somebody else.
right,
It's
yeah.
like,
And then it's almost never going to be. I don't know, there's a lot of back and forth, and it's learning patience, learning. That is the reality of it. And it goes back to like mindset and attitude. What things can you do to help yourself enjoy the process?
yeah.
You're in this craft, in any craft, because you like the end product, but the process has to be something you learn to enjoy as well.
Yeah.
And like appreciate for what it is. And I think doing that probably makes you a better artist, more efficient.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to work on for myself. Try to find what are the steps I can take to sit down and get a job done, even on the days that I don't want to do it at all.
Yeah, and I think that to me, if you're doing it professionally, I feel like if you can figure out that I had a conversation with my friend Tim Ruswick. He runs a YouTube channel called Game Dev Underground. If you're into game dev at all, definitely check him out. He's awesome. But him and I had a conversation about game design, and he said that your players in a game will optimize the fun out of your game. Like, even if it's not fun, the player will do something in the fastest way possible. The way that you're supposed to design games is you're supposed to line up the most optimal and the most fun way together, and then it creates a nice fluid experience. And I kind of feel that way for any craft that I'm doing as well. Like if I can figure out that for my life and just like myself, if I can make the most optimal way, the most fun way, then I think I can enjoy the process. And that ties into like branding yourself professionally and the way that you want to draw your art, or the way you want to make your music. Because if you're trying to like cover all
Right.
like all the bases of what you're creating, like if you were like, oh, I can do cartoon and realistic, but if you hate
Right.
realistic, then it's like don't even put it up on your
So it's
portfolio.
basically like a form of work smarter, not harder. Like it
Yeah.
takes a little bit of extra work to optimize like the kind of work you're getting, keep that workflow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't. Yeah, it's a lot of like you have to control a lot of the factors early on so that the whole machine starts to flow together.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah, for sure. Because
Yeah.
I think that yeah, and it goes back to what you were saying about just enjoying the process.
Mhm.
If you can enjoy the entire process, maybe the external influences like money that you're trying to make from a painting, or people's input, or how many likes you get, or any of those things, maybe those things start to not matter as much
Right.
because you found the happiness in the process.
Yeah, or at least, yeah, it's being able to go to sleep and saying like I did this, for me, or like being sure of where you are on the path, instead of like where am I? Am I just being puppeteered around? Like
Yeah.
you're in control of where you are and
Yeah, true.
what you're dealing with. I think that sort of like autonomy is important, especially in like creative works. Like that's what we crave. We want to be able to put ourselves into our work and feel like we did it ourselves, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as, I mean, that kind of segues into, like working with other people as well and the struggles of that.
Yeah, like Sketchy Monsters is a nightmare to work with Carlos on.
But that it's the angel and the devil of like the positives a community can bring, and the not so positive things, as well.
What do you mean by the working with other people, or how does that tie in?
I guess like we've been talking about like you and your creative process in an isolated bubble, mostly, except for like client work, or
Yeah.
whatever. But then there's like the relationship between you and your art and like tons of other people, whether
Yeah.
they're experiencing it as an audience or like
Oh, so you're
or they're
saying
your peers.
so you're saying if you take out the other person, then you get a little bit more of a you're definitely doing it for yourself at that point, kind of.
Right. And then I guess I'm just thinking now like how healthy that is to an extent as well. To solely do it for
Yeah, if you just like don't have any, I've never even thought, I haven't had that happen to me in a really long time.
right. Like
Because I feel like there's always something.
yeah. So yeah, that's literally just an idea
Interesting.
I'm encountering now. Because like we said earlier, you create to share,
Yeah,
but
even like
you want to be selfish about how you share it in a way.
even for myself, just like making like a Mario Maker level for Thomas,
Right.
our friend Thomas. Like just that involves like all of our friends and such like
Yeah.
that. Like, because I want people to enjoy it. I want people to have fun with it.
I guess the ironic part is like we want to feel autonomous and like we're in control of what we have in the context of other people,
Yeah.
which is like
So
a weird.
can you remove it?
Yeah, like
Maybe. I guess if you're just like if you're just creating for yourself and like because I feel like there is like a healing process in that, like
yeah,
to create for yourself.
yeah. I think
Like the little Yoshi one that I made for the Yoshi making breakfast or
Mhm.
whatever prompt that we
it
did some
felt
time
like
ago.
holy for you and like
Yeah.
yeah. I think especially like young artists, there's such a transition phase between like making art for yourself, doodling in like a sketchbook on the playground or something, into like trying to turn it into a career. And that transition phase is just about learning what your place is with your art in the world and like the context of it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And just that's tough. Which is why Sketchy Monsters ideally gives you peers to be like, hey, it is tough, but we're all here for each other too.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like it's in addition to that there's also like I mean, okay, so if you're yeah, there's social media, there's working for a client, but then like the idea of like a community,
mhm.
like a positive community, then all of a sudden like maybe it's a motivation more than like something that's like pushing it away.
Right. Ideally.
Ideally, but that's if it's. I feel like it has to be positive, or like people have to be giving feedback in the right way, or
Right. And it also comes down to the attitude of like the members of the community and
yeah,
how they
which is
they,
tough to kind of.
Yeah, because like humans in general, we're always going to be kind of judging ourselves against other people and competing. And I think competition is healthy for sure. But like anything else, it can kind of go too far, be corrupted, or not be weighed the right way in your life.
Yeah,
So that's just part of I think the human element of anything. You can't guarantee how people are going to be about a thing, but you try.
yeah,
You just try to hope for the best and do the best and
yeah.
be the best.
So when you actually. So I guess then back to the original question, like with all this stuff in mind, like these are all really very real struggles that everybody deals with before they're like gonna start a painting or something like that, or even in the middle of a painting, I guess, or any creative endeavor.
Yeah, there's all this stuff is definitely whirling in your head before you sit down. You stare at a blank canvas.
So what kind of mindset do you get yourself into then before you start a painting or before
So-
anything really?
It's funny because before I started painting, it's like my brain's trying to do anything else at the moment, unless I happen to be super inspired. But like if I have to, especially if I do something for work, and it's me and a blank canvas, and I have my phone and YouTube or whatever, I'll open, close apps, I'll like cycle through
Mhm.
random YouTube videos. I'll like try to find a song that motivates me maybe, but usually it comes down to just drawing a circle. I try to put anything on the page.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just got to start, and then once I start, I build off the circle,
Yeah.
and then everything just kind of lines up, and then I can draw for like 4 hours straight without a distraction.
That's cool.
But it's really like it's pulling teeth at first sometimes.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're Well, do you have like before you start?
even before I go to sit down and stuff.
No, no. I was gonna say like you're sitting at you're at the point where you have your tablet pen
Mm-hmm.
like an inch or two above whatever. Like you're ready to draw. You're in that position.
I'm sweating.
Yeah, you're
shaking.
sweating. Mom spaghetti.
Music's coming out of nowhere.
Boom, 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 boom. 8 Mile, except with drawing cartoon pictures.
Lights are flickering in my room.
Mom spaghetti, knees weak, mom spaghetti. You're in that position where you're like ready to put pen to paper. Do you usually have something in your head,
Yeah.
or are you just going in blind? Or what's the like ratio there, if there is one?
Usually I have a very vague idea in my head. If I'm lucky in those moments of inspiration, it's very clear. I've been meaning to literally sit down and close my eyes for maybe 20 seconds and just kind of visualize.
Mm-hmm.
And that never crosses my mind when I'm there in that moment. But I've heard that can be very helpful because you cut out a lot of other stimuli, so you're able to just visualize. But oftentimes I have references, or I've been mulling over my head, if it's client work and I know what they want, so I'll be kind of iterating in my head, like maybe it's a little chicken character. I'm kind of thinking about it in my head. There's always a seed, at least.
Yeah.
Once I sit down, that visualization sort of hits the canvas. Once I draw the circle, I can kind of unite those things in my head, and then it starts to flow and build off of that.
Yeah. Okay. I was curious because I kind of feel like there's I guess art is a little bit simpler. I was just comparing it to like level design in my head. Like before I start making a level, I usually don't have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just a game, I don't have an idea. But then like once you just start putting things down, eventually something gets created out of that. Like you understand like one dynamic of something, and then it's like, oh, what if I?
It is a lot like that too, though.
Okay.
To start it, I think it helps to have an image. I think sketching is different. A lot of people just open their sketchbook and just don't have anything. It's more like that. It's more like reactionary.
Yeah. So you think that maybe the sketch is kind of the version of that, I guess.
Yeah, I think sketching is a lot of, especially for me, especially like just the way I draw. I'm not very analytical about it in a lot of ways. Like my draftsmanship is very all over the place, and I enjoy aberrations and accidents, because accidents is how I discover new things, new ways to maybe do a leg or an arm or a pose that I wouldn't normally.
That's one thing that's so important, and I think that's a big thing that people are afraid to do. Mm-hmm. But when they're doing a painting, they're like, "What if I mess up?"
Yeah.
What if you mess up?
That's my personal favorite part of art.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no way.
Like Bob Ross is like happy accidents. Like yeah.
Oh totally. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll like. I've put out when I was doing Across the Worlds. Mm-hmm. There's my favorite section of one of the songs in the entire album. There's a what's the name of the song? The Overworld theme. I just like I was working in the music, like the piano roll on the music editing program, the like MIDI editor. Mm-hmm. And I just highlighted all of like one melody, and I like accidentally moved it all, yeah. And like in the like wrong, it was like the wrong, it was the wrong key, and it was the wrong time, and then like I listened to it, I was like, whoa, yeah. and then I like there were a few off spots, but I was like, if this goes here and this goes here, that's way better than anything I would have ever thought of.
Right. Yeah, and it's I think it's definitely something that should be balanced too. You obviously need to know the technical structures of things,
but how are you going to know that without just putting a circle down?
Right.
Yeah.
The tough part, the part that sort of reasons I get stressed with my art nowadays is like doing freelance work or client work or looking at the pipeline for like animation design or anything, is that you have deadlines. You can't count on accidents. You have to know how to be able to create consistently, because that's what's going to be expected of you. You lose freedom for a more stable approach to art, and I think that's a fight that I've kind of had, and I think a lot of people do encounter that struggle in the industry of like animation design or whatever, and that's why a lot of people do studio jobs for a while and then go off and do their own projects because
Yeah.
they need that balance
Yeah.
of like
Yeah. And
open sky versus not as much open
yeah.
sky.
And then, and that kind of goes back to like the balance of the creating for yourself versus for
Right.
other people. And like,
Mhm.
and that's the feeling that they have. Like that's the balance. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder if, because if you're creating for, like, how do you get that balance on a, like I'm feeling myself like needing to go into like the self creativity mode lately, and that's been difficult for me
Yeah.
because I'm trying to find that time frame in a. I'm trying to find it on a day to day or week by week basis, but I'm wondering if that's not even
Feasible.
feasible to like fulfill myself in that way
Sure.
or on that time frame.
Yeah, it can be tough. Like I do a lot of fan art because it's self indulgent and like I love it, and it's I tell myself I can learn from it. But like if I do it one day, it my sort of mood gets improved by that for like that day. I can ride that wave a little bit longer usually, but it's something that I want to do day to day. If say I worked on like a project long term and finished that, I'd probably be able to feed off that feeling for much longer. I think it's just an aspect of reality of like you're gonna have to do things you don't want to do. Work is an element of life. You have to do it. Things are gonna feel like work, but you should fight for those like moments of art for art's sake and pleasure and fun. Um, and in a career like in an art career, especially in your early years, you're gonna have to do a lot of uh, sort of more grunt work feeling type of things, feeling like doing stuff you don't want to do, so that you can have the opportunities later
Yeah.
to do what you want to do, to work on projects that you actually enjoy, and
Yeah.
'cause you could get really lucky and be able to do that right out of the gate, but that's usually not the case. And like the mindset you bring in when you sit down, like I remember some days, especially early when I was like learning art, I would wake up so excited because when you first start learning most things, a lot of things click sooner together. So maybe like every week you're learning something new and you want to go try it. I used to pop out of
Yeah.
bed and sit down and do it. Boom.
That's what's nice about art too, or drawing in particular, and compared to other crafts.
It's very
Instant feedback based.
instant feedback, yeah.
Yeah.
But even that being said, the like any craft, the higher levels you're trying to reach, the further apart they are.
Yeah.
So it can be hard to keep your head up on when you're progressing a little bit slower, but it doesn't mean you're not progressing. You just gotta
Yeah.
hear it all the time, but you just gotta keep moving.
And as you go, as you get better too, it's like a anti-exponential.
Right. It's like it's almost so if you're walking up a staircase early on, you don't even see where the next step is. You just are like moving through, jogging up the stairs, and then eventually it's like the stairs start to appear before you,
And you have to climb them with your hands and
and you can see even further up the stairs, and it can be kind of disheartening. Like, oh, that's how much I still have left,
yeah.
and it's
I think there's a mindset that's there that where you just focus on what's ahead, like
right,
what's
just
directly,
step it right in front of you,
Yeah.
right,
or
and
the next like, or if you're like climbing a rock wall, you're not focused on the peak, you're focused on the next
right.
crevice or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to social media, and judging yourself against other people and people that aren't at your level. Like, they've had their own path and mountain to climb, and it's okay to glance, I guess, but yeah, focus on that next
Yeah.
step.
Yeah. It's anything you can do to kind of like optimize your like we were talking about earlier, just like optimizing it as much, like trying to optimize like I try and optimize my distractions to be, or like the things that are pushing against me when I'm creating something, so that I can create faster and more easily, I guess. And if I can cut out like distractions, negativity, and just like try and figure out, and even something small like upgrading to a tablet over like a mouse, like, or getting a little bit more an easier workflow.
Yeah,
So you're not getting that kind of pushback. It goes a long way.
because your brain will pick up on that, like, oh, it feels like we're going forward in some direction, and that can snowball
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
But yeah, I think we're done here for today.
What was the prompt this week?
Oh yeah, the prompt is robot octopus janitor.
Robo Octopus Janitor.
Yeah,
Part of the 4-person star crew.
yeah. And then the fourth one hasn't, or is that the last one?
I think that's the 4th one. Yeah, because
We've done Space Cadet Dog or Eager,
We're on the Eager Space Dog, the Insecure Alien Pilot,
and then the Monkey Space Captain.
and the Monkey Space Captain.
Yeah, awesome.
So,
So this will complete the what's the version of
the fleet.
I want to say like trifecta, but that's for 3.
Yeah, the quadfecta.
The quad.
Nobody check if that's a word.
Yeah, don't. It's Google's not your friend. It's your enemy. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. We probably should have introduced ourselves at the start.
No, I like to keep it mysterious.
Yeah, keep it mysterious. My name's Ryan. Don't tell Carlos.
I guess I'm Carlos.
Oh yeah, I guess I doxed you just now.
Yeah. It's not even my real name, but that's just what I have to use now for the rest of the show.
Yeah. Just yeah. Don't tell Squarlos.
I like that name though.
Squarlos.
Yeah, Q is a very undervalued letter of the alphabet.
Yeah, Quarlos.
Squirrel.
That sounds. It's squirrel and Carlos mixed together.
Squirrelos.
Squarlos. That's definitely a Pokemon name. It's gonna be in Sword and Shield.
Yeah, it's a new Squirtle form.
Yeah.
It's just Puerto Rican Squirtle.
Yeah. Whenever they do a region in Puerto Rico, like, Squarlos.
That's it. That's all you catch.
You're gonna be the water starter.
They didn't. None of the other Pokemon are catchable. Like we couldn't fit them in the game. Only Squirlos.
Would it be Squarlitos is the starter?
Yeah, Squirlitos.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody, and stay tuned for next week. And can't wait to see what you all submit for.
Yeah, we're just trying this out. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Come check out the Discord server. Hang out with us, and check out SketchyMonsters.com to see previous art submissions and all that good stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody, or listening.
It's too late.
Crap. Wee woo, wee woo. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
He's right on top of you. The maniac.
I forgot about it. It was a maniac. That's right.